What's good, YouTube, man? Welcome back to the channel. Metri's back here with another video. Metri Vault. Ryan Mango sat down with a killer. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. We almost close to 7K. Twin lock in by a tweak app. Come and catch a live. I don't want to talk too much. Let's get into the video, man.
Bada bing, bada boo.
There is a certain process of elimination when you are at the scene of a death. Some cases are obviously going to be trickier than others. Some cases, the whole time, the investigators are debating, first of all, how? Like, how did this even happen? We don't know. And if this is what truly happened, if our theory is correct, are we sure that's what really happened? That's what the investigators are doing. But for Detective Ryan, this case starts off really easy. Dead man in the living room in his own house. He's dead in his living room, in his house, in like a secluded wooded area.
Damn.
He walks in. Was it natural? That's the first question. Well, no, because there's droplets of blood right at the entrance of the house. It doesn't seem like it was natural. Detective Ryan steps into the house a little bit deeper now. Was it a robbery gone wrong? The door shows no signs of forced entry. He steps inside further, and there are just streaks of blood
Where was this?
everywhere. One of the other officers walks straight up to him and just says, well, somebody tried to cut this dude's head off. Murder. That's what this is. We got the how. The cause of death is murder.
Cut his
with a
head
hunting knife. By the clues left behind in the living room, I mean, nothing of value is taken. All of the blood is concentrated near the couch in this.
Oh, where is this? With a hunting knife? You know how crazy you gotta be to cut somebody up with a hunting knife?
Living room area. Whoever did this hunted the dead man. It's like they hunted them and killed him in his own living room. And it wasn't quick either. Like, there are slash wounds all over this man's body. His throat is nearly slit. You can see the bone on both sides. There's blood all over the walls. There's blood soaking into the carpets. This guy was hunted. He was killed rather painfully, rather violently in his own living room. The first interesting detail that sticks out to Officer Ryan is that there's this bloody footprint that just feels so out of place. Obviously, there's gonna be lots of bloody footprints all over this living room, but it's concentrated in this specific living room area, except this one clear bloody footprint right in front of the door to the primary bedroom. It's almost like the killer, whoever this person is, walked over there, put one foot just outside the door, never stepped inside. What are they doing? Detective Ryan steps inside the master bedroom and he starts looking around. And that's when he sees it. He's like, did the killer slit that man's throat, walk over to this bedroom to spit on the bed? Detective Ryan knows instantly that whoever...
What? Am I tweaking?
Did the killer slit that man's throat, walk over to this bedroom to spit on the bed? Detective Ryan knows instantly that whoever did this...
What's the purpose,
knows
though?
the dead man, targeted the dead man, hunted the dead man, and left a giant trail of evidence. It's not long after that that Detective Ryan is gonna find the killer. And he's got a lot of questions to ask this killer. And so do we.
This ever... Damn.
Can you...
I know. I started stuttering hard as fuck. This episode includes mentions of grooming, animal abuse, and... What? Please don't hesitate to take a break if needed. Okay. Let's lock in.
Can you take us to when we're in the car after you kill Dennis?
I was bleeding severely. I had a
How's this nigga free?
severe wound. Speaking to my buddy in the passenger seat, I was not even thinking about getting away with it. I was thinking about stopping the blood flow.
Did you have a hole in your hand?
I did. I put a knife right through it, severed the ligaments and tendons.
How long was the knife?
It was a hunting knife, so they're about 6 inches long, 8 inches.
And that was also the murder weapon?
How's he?
Yes.
Did you take the murder weapon with you or did you leave it?
Took it.
And there was blood everywhere. Was it coming from your hand or was it someone else's blood?
A mixture.
Did you feel the need to get rid of the blood?
I had a glove on, and when I got back to my house, I could wring out the glove. It was just pouring out of me. And it was everywhere in my garage.
Can you walk me through the hole in your hand?
See, it wasn't straight through the hand. It was down this way and out this way. So it went the whole length. And you could see pretty deep into because it was wide open at the time.
And you're
Why he look so happy, like telling this story? Gang, is he good? How's he free? How many years did he get? What did the dude do? It's so many questions that need to be answered.
driving with one hand.
I had the glove on at the time, so I couldn't see it until I got back and standing in my garage, pulled the glove off, and then I was like, "Oh boy, we got a problem."
Did it hurt? The hole in the hand?
Yeah, but I was full of adrenaline and
Did a new person just come in my chat and tell me to shut up? Like I won't ban you?
cocaine and alcohol. I wasn't fixated on the pain. No, the pain didn't bother me at the time.
The next morning, police are surrounding your house and you pour a glass of Chardonnay. Yeah?
He laughed.
How many police officers are outside trying to arrest you?
12 to 20.
Are you scared?
I'm thinking life is over.
And lo and behold, this is out of jail.
Your attorney describes it as horrific crime scene photos after you left Dennis's house. Have you seen those photos?
I have.
Did you feel anything when you saw it?
Honestly, no.
Dennis's obituary reads, "To those who knew him well, he will be remembered as a great man who always went above and beyond the call of duty, and one whose love and loyalty for his friends was unparalleled." Do you agree with that?
No, I do not agree with that.
You provide.
Hold on. He said no, he don't agree with that?
Do you agree with that?
No, I do not agree with that.
Dennis must have did something to him detrimental though. Now, hold on.
You provided to us your records, like your psychology records from when you were in jail and then later prison. Psychologist asked you, do you feel relief after the homicide? And you say, I can't say that. Things were out of control. No relief.
Yeah, what happened in that night was horrific. In his house was horrific, and it wasn't anything to sit back and rejoice over. It was a bloody, gory, horrific event.
Do you remember how many times you stabbed him, or do you only know from what's been told?
We asking that?
Only from what I've been told.
Initially, when you were first arrested, I think there was questions of maybe there is an insanity plea. Maybe there are all these other things. And one report reads, the most outstanding clinical feature was the absence of any significant overt psychopathology. So does that mean that some psychiatrists were confused because you didn't strike them as a psychopath or someone that just kills out of nowhere?
Right. They didn't find any, anything psychologically wrong with me.
Do you really gotta be psychotic to kill though? Let's think about this. You know what I'm saying? Do you really?
Anything psychologically wrong with me to do what I did.
I just want to know what did
You
do.
killed Dennis Pegg.
I did.
You stabbed him.
I did.
Reports say you slit his throat.
Yes.
You spit on his bed.
Yes.
And you drove off with a hole in your hand.
Nah, Dennis must have had to took his girl or something. To spit on the bed? To spit on the bed? Nah, Dennis must have, he was porking his lady.
Correct.
And then you were arrested, and psychiatrists say that they found nothing wrong with you.
Correct.
And so technically you killed someone, and you don't regret it.
No.
He had to do something
And
crazy.
everyone in town, while you're in jail waiting for a trial,
I'm not justifying what he did, but like, it's a method to this madness.
plea deal, waiting
too,
for
like,
whatever fate has in store.
sane.
Everyone in town has free Clark stickers on their cars. People are writing articles. People are selling bumper stickers that say free Clark.
They were everywhere instantly, like in less than a week's time.
Free Clark?
Why
He's
did you
Clark?
kill Dennis Pegg?
The short answer is he was a monster.
What's the long
Come on now. I said Dennis had to do something crazy.
answer?
The long answer is he had a 45-year reign of terror in our little town of Stillwater, New Jersey, raping boys.
Okay, fuck Dennis. Fuck Dennis. Whatever Dennis got going on, fuck Dennis. Dennis K. I ain't even gonna lie. Dennis K.
Were you one of the boys?
I was.
Whoa! What the? Whoa! 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 The change of events. The change of events. The change of events. The change of events. Who do movies like that? Who do movies like that? M. Night Shyamalan. This some M. Night Shyamalan type shit. Oh my gosh. What?
I was reading in your memoir,
You fuck with Clark.
Scarred. You were born with a hole in your heart.
I was just a defect in my heart, and the doctors monitored me for the first 6 years of my life, and they told my parents we were down to a 6-month window to operate to repair it.
Whoa.
And so you had the surgery and you have a scar that you call a zipper.
You know, with all the stitching, it looks just like a zipper.
I know in the beginning when you were a kid, you were bothered by the scar. Is that something you're still bothered by?
Now I've come to make peace with my scar.
So, okay, what was your first impression of Dennis? I know in your memoir,
Look at how weird Dennis looked. Look at this nigga. Oh my gosh. He looked like one of them. He looked like one of them. Oh my gosh. Fuck Dennis. What the fuck?
you talk about how he came over and he offered you $1 to touch your scar because it was the thing that your parents were doing to try to get you to be proud of your scar was to show people for quarters.
Right. You're going back, to 1971 to have open heart surgery as a 6-year-old child. Open heart surgery today is still a risky endeavor. So they
My
were
grandma could. Oh my gosh. I'm glad she good now though. But like, man, that open heart shit is crazy.
extremely proud of me for surviving this. I was in Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City for a month straight. And they were so proud. They just wanted to show me off to their friends. And they thought a neat way to, when you're a kid, you just want to fit in with all the other kids.
Yeah.
I had something now that made me stick out from everybody. So they just thought it would be a way to get me comfortable
not
with
even
it by
bad.
showing it to their
It's not even bad.
friends and collecting a quarter.
Dennis Pegg was a family friend.
Look at this nigga.
He was
friend.
my brother's boy. I had a brother who was 6 years older than me. Jay. And he was my brother's Boy Scout leader. And we had a lot of land where we lived in New
Boy Scout leader.
Jersey, and he would hunt on our land with my father and brother. I wasn't old enough yet, and my parents owned a restaurant back then, and my father put on big Sunday night meals, and he would come every Sunday and have dinner with us and tell stories about. He worked at the county jail as a sheriff's officer, and he would tell stories about there.
Do you think that he targeted your family to get close to you guys, or do you think he genuinely was just friendly with your parents?
Targeted. Predators have to win over, one, they have to win over their community so nobody would ever suspect them. 2, they have to win over the family. And then last, they have to win over the victim.
Can you tell me about the moment that
He
he
just gave you out a blueprint.
saw your scar?
It was just a couple months after I had the surgery. Everybody in my family was in our backyard, and I came inside to get a drink and watch cartoons for a minute. And Dennis came to the front door, which was right next to our den. And I heard his voice, and I bounded up. I loved Dennis. You know, I just thought he was great. He always had his gun on and a badge. And I let him in, and he asked where everybody was. And I told him everybody was out back. And he said, let's sit in the den for a minute. And then he said, you know, hey, I got a quarter. Can I see your scar? Didn't think anything of it. Lifted my shirt, showed him. And he said, I've never seen a scar so raised up like yours. I have keloid condition, so my scar is pronounced. And he goes, how about I give you $1 if you let me touch it? I couldn't possibly think of, in my little 6-year-old mind, of any ulterior motives he would have. And I said, sure, Den. And he
was 6. Oh my gosh, that's so bad.
took his big meaty fingers and he ran them up and down my scar.
Ew.
And then he went below my scar line to like
Ew.
my belt line. And he was just probing and saying, is your stomach sore from the surgery? And I'm like, no, not at all, Den. And he's like, okay. He's like, this has to be our little secret. He goes, if you tell your parents that I gave you $1 for touching your scar, we can't be buddies. I'm like, I can keep a secret.
So when he's like probing and touching, did it just feel like, because you had just gotten out of surgery, did it just feel like another adult that's maybe making sure you're okay?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that the feeling?
Yeah, and I had, like I said,
Oh my gosh, Kayla, you're right. We're only 13 minutes in. This shit get worse.
there wasn't one thought in my mind that he could have any other reason to touch other than he cared about me and my well-being.
Throughout the book, you describe him as having meaty fingers. And I know a lot of cases that we cover, a lot of victims remember specific sensations or very specific scents even. Is that something that you like remember distinctly as meaty fingers? Like,
Yeah, he was a big hulking guy, and I was a little tiny kid back then. When I say hulking, he was probably 265 pounds and just one of those big.
Oh my gosh, look at this man. W fucking camera were bag. But look at him. He looked like a fart. Like he looked like he looked like a hiccup. Look at this fat bastard.
Beefy guys. Him touching my scar stands out
geek.
so pronounced in my
Look
mind.
at him. Look at him.
265 pounds and just
I
one
just
of
wanna
those
punch him in the-
big beefy guys. Him touching my scar stands out so pronounced in my mind, and the visualization of his big meaty fingers is like ingrained in my memory. I wish I could scrape it off and remove it, but I can't. It's like ingrained in there.
265 pounds.
I'm
He's
assuming
like 5
that's a
feet.
worse memory than the actual open heart
He's like
surgery.
a fucking meatball.
Yeah, it's he like ruined my open heart surgery, ruined my scar. I hated my scar because what would happen later on. And he's the reason for me hating the way I looked.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know what happens later on.
Did he have any sort of fascination with your scar, or was it truly 100% just an excuse to start grooming you?
Yeah, I don't think he had any things with a predator. They're never the way they seem. A predator is a chess master, always multiple steps ahead of you. So like everything may seem one way, but to them it's complete other way. And I don't think he cared two hoots about my scar. It was just an avenue to get what he ultimately wanted.
You guys would go fishing. There would be a lake. You and a bunch of boys would go fishing. Dennis Pegg would constantly be there. And there was an issue with the sunfish, like these little fish in the lake that don't taste good. They're not edible fish.
Yeah, I mean, they're tiny. So you To fillet a sunfish, you'd have to fillet a lot of them to get any meat off of there.
So it's mainly sunfish.
Right down by the dam, there'd be a lot of sunfish, and they're a really like gullible fish where you don't even need to put a worm on a hook. You could just put your hook in the water, and they see the bright shimmering, and they just latch onto it, and you catch them, and you just release them.
He seemed like a good
Or so
guy
we
too,
thought.
though.
He does not catch and release them. What did he do?
No. And again, for me to say he didn't like sunfish is wrong, because he's a chess master, remember? He's a predator, and he's one step ahead of us, 2 steps, 3 steps ahead of us. He would tell us little boys that sunfish were a worthless fish and that they needed to be killed. And he would catch them and stomp on them with his boot. Or he would catch them, throw them in the grass alongside the river, and then pick up a big rock and smash it down on them.
They didn't see the signs. This nigga's a maniac.
And he'd be like, that's what you do to things that are worthless.
So everything's like a means to an end for him. So he just wants to scare everyone.
It's a control thing. It's a domination thing. It's also to let you know if he considers you worthless, this is what will happen to you. We're down there as a group of young boys, and it's not just me he's targeting. He's targeting all of us and letting us all know how he feels about worthless things.
Ain't no boys, like, they didn't tell their parents about this. They ain't think that, but they 6. But no, I feel like I'd be locked in to know, like, some weird stuff is going on like that. You know what I mean? To tell my parents. And, like, I don't know.
This is a little sidetracked, but I was doing research into sunfish because I didn't even know what they looked like. And in a lot of indigenous cultures, they're actually known for protecting the young.
Really?
That's like they're some of the fiercest protectors of their young.
Wow.
Like they will stay by their young for 10 to 14 days and starve themselves just to protect them. And so it seems almost ironic that he specifically did not like sunfish as well.
Wow,
It's
I didn't
very
know that.
interesting.
Never heard that. Yeah, it's amazing.
So in one of the court documents, it mentions that he drink a goldfish, or he bit a goldfish in half, spit the halves into his beer. Did he drink the beer with the goldfish?
Yeah. And he said he used to do that with his army buddies.
My army buddies would be like, what? Stop, man.
And he would just make you guys watch.
Made me watch. This was at his house.
You're saying that he will bite a goldfish in half?
Yeah, he bit a goldfish in half and then swallowed it down with his beer. And you can make up whatever psychological reference you want. Again, it's to scare me. It's to show violence to me.
Like his demeanor during all of it is just...
Dennis was a light switch. He could be one way, outgoing, friendly, gregarious, fun-loving. Instantly, eyes dilate, turn black, and he becomes a completely different person.
What happens with the Polaroids?
Yeah. Down at the lake again. I lived at a lake community, and there was a dam area. And the dam would separate the lake and then into the river. And that's where all us kids would hang out and play. He did everything out of the watchful eye of my parents. When everything happened, my mother said, I never even saw him with you. And I'm like, everything happened down.
Oh, shit, he's a cop. They did say he was a cop. Fuck, that's why. Okay, yeah, I remember when I said, why they didn't tell their parents? He's a fucking cop, too.
The lake. And he was giving beer to us young boys, not just me, down there. So I'm like 9 years old. Get a picture of a...
He planned this lifestyle. Now that I'm thinking about it, oh my God, he planned this lifestyle. He knew he was going to grow up to do this weird shit.
Little 9-year-old. He invites me into his pickup truck down at the lake, and let's have a beer. So he gives me a beer. And I thought it was great. Here's a lieutenant. He's a lieutenant in the sheriff's department. And I'm getting to have a beer
weird.
with him. I'm thinking, this is fantastic. And he says, one of my friends just bought a old farmhouse, and there was a old desk left behind. So I started going through the drawers, and it was filled with porno pictures. You want to see some? And I'm like thinking like Playboy magazine type stuff. He, he had cargo shorts. Cargo shorts had the big pockets on them. So he opens up his cargo shorts pockets and takes out a handful of Polaroid pictures. And he's looking at them, and he just starts giggling like a little schoolboy would giggle. And he's like, oh, these are a riot. He's like, here. And it was a close-up of a young penis. And he's like, here's another one. And here's another one. And it was just penis after penis. And he's slapping my knee in his truck, laughing. Aren't these so funny? Aren't these a riot? And I'm like, where's all the women, Den? And he's like, oh, those must have been in the other drawer.
I'm sorry I'm laughing, but I'm only laughing at because like when he said where the women at? Like I just want to be like, hold on, you tweaking? What a like where the girls at? Then you tweaking, bruh. But that's the only reason why I was laughing. I ain't gonna lie, but like this is crazy. Like why is he giggling at stuff like this?
Next time I go over to that house, I'll open up the other drawer for you. But look at these. Aren't these a riot? Aren't they?
No. Nigga, what are girls? Like, Dan, bro, he's psycho.
He's so
psycho.
funny, and I'm just like,
So you think he took these Polaroids? I mean, there was no farmhouse.
No.
He took these.
Yes. Yeah. He always had large stories, and looking back now, I don't know if one of them was true. I have no idea.
He would invite you to his house, and then he would try to feed you beers and...
What would happen a lot is the dam area where I lived, the river went right through Stillwater to a bridge area, the Gristmill Bridge. Mm-hmm. There was a old gristmill right at the bridge. Mm-hmm. And he would say down at the dam area, the fish aren't biting that good. Let's go over, towards the gristmill. Or there's twin bridges in another section of the river. Or he'd say, let's go to the twin bridges. And he would always mysteriously slip in the mud. His foot would go into the mud. Or he'd slip and go into the river and get his boot wet. And we'd have to go to his house so he could change his sneaker or change his boots. And that's how he would get me over there. And then while we were there, well, let's have a beer while we're here.
This is that.
So it would be just to get me comfortable going to his house and having a beer at his house.
Were the houses like far apart, or did people see that there's constantly boys going in and out of his house?
This is real life grooming. Who thinks of stepping in some mud so they can go back home and offer a little boy a beer? What?
He lived up a long driveway, and the house sat alone up there.
So you can't see anything. Like if you were to scream, people can't hear. It's pretty.
There was houses down below, but his was a driveway that went up, did a 90-degree turn to the house, and it was the only house up there.
He even got a weird house.
His house, I don't want to call it a cabin. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. Mm-hmm. And it sat up on a hill that overlooked the elementary school playground.
I'll be back. I'm gonna get mad. I'll be back.
Was he like looking there all the time? Was he outside?
I went to that elementary school, Stillwater Elementary School. I was in Little League baseball, and he was at every game that I can recall. Down on the fence, there was a fence that would go around the ball field. He would be down there.
Oh yeah, his house is over at elementary school. What the fuck is that?
There, he would come around the fence to the bench where we'd sit at and grab your shoulders. Oh, great job out there. Great job. just always down at the playground with the young kids.
No one thought it was weird? Because he doesn't have kids of his own, right?
Not married, no kids. But he's the lieutenant in the sheriff's department. He's the Boy Scout leader. The Boy Scouts did their meetings in the gym of the elementary school. So he's wrapped around everything in the town. He's on the Stillwater Historical Society.
He on that like that Diddy type of power vibe. When you got so much power, you think you can do anything.
Bored. The little old ladies loved him. I mean, this goes on for years now. You know, the touching of the scar happened when I was 6 years old. It goes on to, like I said, inviting me into his truck down at the dam to have a beer with him. And this has to be our secret. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to ruin this. So I'm not going to tell my parents I had a beer with the lieutenant from the sheriff's department. This is fantastic. You know, and he made you like his equal. You know, he put you on equal. He made you like feel special, and it's us against the world. Everything he told me. I mean, one of the stories I recite is he was always taking trips out west. And on one of his trips, he said he met the Marlboro Man. Now, if you grew up in the 70s, 80s, the Marlboro Man was a fictional character, but on the back of every magazine with a Marlboro cigarette dangling in his mouth. And he was the coolest dude imaginable. Dennis took the coolest, machoest guy in America and told me he met him on a trip and he was gay. He said, it didn't.
He just randomly lying like that? Who just randomly lies like that?
Bother me in the least. He was such a great guy. We hung out for 3 days and had dinners and just, you know, just spent a lot of time together. So, and again, he would say, this has to be our secret. Don't tell anybody the Marlboro Man's gay. He confided that in me, you know. I don't want his secret getting out. Did he ever meet the Marlboro Man who played the Marlboro Man?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Probably not. Was the Marlboro Man gay? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, nothing is ever as it seems with a predator. And so what's he doing? He's taking the machoist guy in America, fictional character, but machoist, and making him gay and
Like
trying to gauge my response and trying to normalize it. Like, hey, the machoist guy in the world is gay. You know,
What was the purpose?
Again, I that's what I would surmise he was doing. You know, I can't get into his mind.
He tries to start wrestling with you. That was kind of like the gateway into...
Yeah, you know, so he's taken years now, you know, of porn pictures, Marlboro Man, beers, slipping into the river, go to the house, beers, you know, so he's invested years of grooming. And at some point you have to initiate more touch. That's why I see people tussle a young boy's hair and it just sends a chill down my spine. Because to the normal person, it's like, oh, cute little Billy, you know?
That's crazy how that just changed his whole perspective on everything now. This is fucking crazy. Fuck Dennis.
But to a predator, they need to initiate touch. And that little tussle of the hair is going to go to a pat on the knee, is going to go to a pat on the thigh, is then going to go to a wrestling match. So he told me that he wrestled my older brother, Jay. And he wrestled my next door neighbor, Jeff. Jeff and Jay were inseparable. They were same age, same grade, in the Scouts together. And he says to me, I wrestled Jeff and Jay. Let's see how tough you are.
No, thank you.
And I'm like, okay. And at first he would let me dominate, let's say, you know, get the upper hand on him. And then, like I said, that light switch would go off and his eyes would turn dark and black. and he would pin me to the ground, and he would get his hulking 265-pound body on top of me and start gyrating and moving and grooving. And looking back on it at the time, not really realizing what he was doing, but he was erect. And this was getting him off.
And you're 11, so you're tiny.
11.
I was 10 when that started happening, when the wrestling started.
You know how small I was at 11? I was small as fuck. And that dude was 265 fucking pounds.
He's like 3, 4, 5 times your size.
Yeah, I mean, and because of I was a sick little kid when I was young. Like, you know, I was in the hospital constantly with the flu and bronchitis.
Right, and imagine how small he was at the time. He was sick as hell.
And anything because of the hole in my heart, they would put me into the hospital immediately. I'd be in an oxygen tent, and you know, so I was constantly in the hospital, and I had to be careful for a long while after surgery with playing. There was some limitations put on me by the doctors, you know, so I was just a small little kid back then, sick kid. And
That's crazy.
and this guy just took advantage of that. And he could tell like I was insecure, you know, because my scar made me stand out. And they looked for something like to separate the weak from the pack, you know, like any predator does. And my scar was, you know, and my insecurities about it is how he separated me from the pack. And wrestling was the next avenue of physical touch. He's devoted
week of the week.
4 years now of stories and secrets, alcohol, pornography, and now it's time to get back to touch.
There's a part where in your book, your memoir, you talk about how he pinned you down and he says something along the lines of like, come on, you can get out, come on, squirm. Do you feel like he is getting off on you struggling, or?
Yeah, it's exactly what he was doing. You know, he would get me down, you know, like I would be in the dominating position on top of him, and then all of a sudden the light switch goes and he would get rough with me and like sort of throw me down, my 10-year-old body, throw me down and get on top and be commanding me to try harder to get out, squirm more, move more, you know, because he's wanting me to move against him and what he has going on.
He comes over for Christmas. What does he get you as a Christmas present?
I had a Boy Scout hunting knife, is what they were called. And he brought me a whetstone sharpening kit to sharpen the hunting knife. And
So did he use that to do the do?
over him drinking, you know, a glass or two of eggnog at our house, he taught me over the next hour, you know, keep the blade at, you know, an 18-degree angle, how to drive it, you know, across the stone, you know, the oil you got to use, and then he would have me do it, and taught me how to get a perfect blade on my hunting knife. And that was something I kept perfectly sharp my whole life.
The hunting knife?
Yeah.
What happens when you're 12, and what happens to Dennis's dog as well? I know that there was like a hunting ploy excuse of like, you're gonna pretend to be shot in the woods because my buddy shoots everyone without thinking.
So at 12, he concocted this whole big hunting ruse of having a friend who just shot and aimed and shot without knowing if it was safe to shoot. Mm-hmm. And he said, we've got to correct my friend from this bad habit, and I'm gonna use you as a decoy out in the woods. You're gonna be laying there with fake blood on you, and I'm gonna take him out hunting, and he's gonna do his typical shoot, and then we're gonna come upon you lying there with fake blood, and you need to practice gurgling sounds, like you're gurgling blood. Your death rattle, he called it. You have to practice your death rattle. So he got me down at the lake one day, got me back to his house. We're going to practice your death rattle at the house. And instead of offering me beer, he offered me blackberry brandy, a glass of blackberry brandy with a beer. And he told me to chug it. And then he gave me another thing of brandy. And his house it was a summer day, but his house was like way hotter inside than outside. And in my adult mind now, looking back, I'm like, did he have his heat on? Did he purposely turn his heat on in his house to make it sweltering, knowing what he had concocted? Like I say, with a predator, you never know what they're thinking. So his house is boiling. We're sweating. He wants me to lay down on...
Wait, what's brandy? What's brandy?
His house was way hotter inside than outside. And in my adult mind now, looking back, I'm like, did he have his heat on? Did he purposely turn his heat on in his house to make it sweltering, knowing what he had concocted? Like I say, with a predator, you never know what they're thinking. So his house is boiling. We're sweating. He wants me to lay down on his bed to practice my breathing. And it goes to, it's so hot in here, let's just take our shirt and pants off, our shorts off.
Oh. It's crazy because he gave him a much stronger spirit on a hot day, and you get much drunker. What? I did not know that. I don't drink, so I did not know that.
And then it goes to, he's behind me, has me in a bear hug, and me.
What?
And I'm screaming, I'm crying. And he had a dog, which is called a coonhound. And coonhounds have this.
What the fuck? I had to see if this was real. A red bone coonhound?
This long, drawn out howl they do. And as I'm being raped, I hear his dog howling away because of my cries and screams. And it didn't stop this guy until he was done doing what he wanted to do with me.
Ew.
And afterwards, he sat me down at his kitchen table and got another beer, like almost like we were two lovers who just had a romantic tryst together.
What?
And he brought his dog over to me and said, I want to show you what will happen to you if you ever open your mouth about what just occurred. And he started to beat his dog, and I'm crying and screaming and begging him to please stop, and he wouldn't until the dog lay in a heap at my feet. Now,
what the fuck?
I was just contacted just 2 days before this interview by a gentleman who, when he was 17 years old, needed a place to stay, and he stayed at Dennis Pegg's house for 6 months.
6 months.
And he said it was the most bizarre 6 months of his life. He said the guy was a complete freak. He said one thing that happened, though, is now, when he was 17, he's 10 years older than me. I would have been 7 back then. When he me would be 5 years later. So this dog would be 5 years old. And this guy said Dennis got this coonhound puppy when I lived with him, and it peed on the rug. And he beat the puppy so bad, we had to take it to the vet to save its life. So even as a puppy, he beat it for simply doing what puppies do and peed on a rug. And then this is the same dog 5 years later.
I fucking don't like dogs. Sometimes I don't even like when people be having dogs because, like, I hate the way they be treating dogs sometimes. But I don't like dogs personally, but, like, I don't like seeing bullshit happen to animals, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't get a dog. I don't care for dogs, but, like, just seeing shit like that, it just be like, that's kind of sad, bro. Like, why do you treat your dog like that, you know?
That he beat and probably killed in front of me.
You never saw the dog again?
No.
Wow.
And a lady, a female guard who worked with him at the jail,
Like, insane.
told me how Dennis came in one day, all distraught, that his beloved coonhound dog Duke died. And we all gave him hugs and tears, and we all loved dogs. We were all dog people. And she goes, I am horrified to think that's because of what he did in front of you, that he killed Duke.
It says in your book that you felt guilty over what happened to the dog. Is that
I felt he only did that to Duke because of my cries and screams. And if I hadn't cried and screamed during the what he did to Duke wouldn't have happened.
Do you still feel that way, or?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
I mean, he might have had that planned. Well, he couldn't determine if Duke was going to cry or not. Like I said, with a predator, you never know.
Long live Duke, man.
But yeah, I still feel guilty for Duke.
Do you feel like Duke had more humanity than Dennis in that moment?
I feel Duke and I were the only two in that room who had humanity. And that's saying a lot since Duke's a dog. Dennis, I feel, lost his humanity a long time ago. As soon as you dedicate your life to hunting children and them, you really can't say you have humanity. That's pure evil to me. If you're going to define what the devil is really the guy with a smile on his face who's charismatic, outgoing, friendly, charming, who everybody loves, who's involved in all these organizations.
What y'all think about that? What's y'all thoughts on that? If somebody too outgoing, too carrot-crat, hey, neighbor, you know what I'm saying? I feel like those people are weird, though. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have at least a little bit of, like, hold on, why you... But, like, if you're too, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you kind of a little weird, you know? That's funny. The devil is always in disguise. That's a bar. It creeps me out. You can be charismatic, but having nothing underneath is where the evil lies. That's a bar, too, though. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy.
On the
like,
historical
it gets crazier
board,
and crazier.
But who's only doing those things to fool people of his true nature.
What changed after that day?
My life was forever altered after that day. My whole trajectory in life changed that day. Nothing would be the same. I would tell myself that talking about what just happened would be reliving it, and we were never going to do that. We could just bury this down deep inside and go about our life. I convinced myself that that's what I could do. I led the most exhausting life because I would crank on a smile to the world. And inside, I was completely broken and destroyed. And I went through that way my whole life until I couldn't keep it up any longer.
How many years passed since you're 12 and then the day that you see Dennis Pegg at Quick Check?
I was 45 when I saw him at the Quick Check. So you're talking 33 years.
33.
33 years of putting on a fake smile and just feeling so empty inside and broken. What?
Years, he's probably still hunting kids.
Right?
Yes.
And then there is a day that comes where you effectively hunt the hunter. You step into Quick Check. What happens there? It's like a gas station. It's a convenience store.
Yeah, this one was just a convenience store.
Yeah, I got a
they have
Quick
gas
Check.
stations
Where y'all-
now.
is
They're
Quick
a
Check
lot
still-
larger,
still a
but this
thing?
was just a convenience store in a little like 4-store mall. I'm getting a coffee. I'm at the coffee island making a coffee. The front door opens.
Oh, I would've made the hottest coffee on fucking earth and threw it in his face and started beating him in front of the fucking cameras.
I think it had a bell on it, so it made me look up. And I look up and I look into Dennis Pegg's eyes. He sees me and he yells out to me, "Hey, how are you, buddy?"
I was like, nigga, you got some nerve. What?
And I instantly start going into a panic attack. I can tell just by the way he said, "Hey, buddy," that he's going to come over to me. I had seen Dennis around our town over those 33 years. I recall once in a bar after college. Me and my buddies were in a bar, and as soon as we ordered a beer, I get a pat on my shoulder, and it's Dennis Pegg. And I chug my beer, and I tell my buddies, we're going.
There's no
No
shame.
remorse, no shame, no guilt. Yeah, the predators, they don't ever show that.
That shit is crazy.
So I had seen him around town, but it had been probably 10 years since I saw him. And what was different this time in that Quick Check, which completely unraveled me, was that he had a young boy by his side, probably close to the age he me at, and that young boy called him the same nickname Dennis used to make me call him. And I heard that nickname and I saw that young boy, and it just ripped open everything for those 33 years that I told myself I could bury down and go about my life. When he would touch me, I would freeze. I would stiffen like a board, and I felt my muscles it's like a paralysis. And I felt that coming on me, and I felt it hard to breathe. And the thoughts in my mind, just like your mind starts swirling where you can't even think. And I'm like, I got to get out of here before I completely freeze. And this guy grabs me, and I just left my coffee and whatever stuff I had on the island there, and I ran out past him. We sort of shoulder bumped a little, and he's like, "Where are you going? Where are you going, buddy? Come here." And I ran out, and I hopped in my truck, and I sped out of the parking lot, and I went down the road, and my life.
You know what this kind of remind me of? I had dropped a video on the main channel a minute ago. It was that Dan Schneider thing. This kind of reminds me of the form of Dan Schneider, how he was such a high power making all these great movies, but he was doing this heinous stuff to these kids. This is what this kind of gives me a resemblance of.
Out of the parking lot, and I went down the road, and my life unraveled. Just completely unraveled.
Do you think you saw yourself in the little boy? Is that, or you just felt protective of the little boy? Did you?
I couldn't get out of my mind over the next months that boy, and wondering what part of the grooming process is he? Is he being shown Polaroid pictures? Is he
That's
having
crazy.
beers in his truck? Is he at the wrestling stage? Is he teaching his buddy how to shoot right in the woods by lying there with fake blood on him, and doing the death rattle in his bed?
That's crazy.
It haunted me. I couldn't even work any longer. I was in business with my brother. We had Tire Automotive Center. And I walked out one day, and I just couldn't go to work anymore. I was having to drink before work just to go into work, instead of filling my coffee mug with coffee. I was so out of sorts. I'm filling it with alcohol.
Wow.
And I'm doing other drugs.
Cocaine?
So I walked out of the business with my brother, and now I've got free time on my hand, which is never good when you have trauma. And I've got Dennis Pegg in the forefront of my mind. I've got that little boy in the forefront of my mind. And I had zero coping skills throughout my whole life. Like mindfulness, like all these foreign terms, I never incorporated it, I just dove headfirst into drugs and alcohol, like literally around the clock. Just one drug on its own wasn't enough. So I'm just taking any drug I can get to try to numb myself, to try to block the thoughts from.
You start unraveling after Quick Check, but then there's a guy that you see smirking. Who is this guy? You see him smirking on TV. What happens?
Yeah, I was in bad shape. I wasn't sleeping much because of all the pain I'm doing. And I put on my TV, and it's Jerry Sandusky, the start of his molestation trial. Jerry Sandusky was one of the coaches at Penn State University.
What?
And he was running a football camp for young boys, and over the course of years, decade plus, molesting boys at his football camp. He was finally facing trial for that. And his trial was starting on June 12th of 2012. And I saw him on the news get out of his lawyer's car and smirking and buttoning his coat jacket.
I don't know what to say.
And
whoa, I gotta do some research on that.
I just started yelling curses at my TV and spitting on my bedroom floor because I saw Dennis Pegg as him.
I gotta research that.
I felt Dennis Pegg was never going to face justice.
It's like a similar smirk that they have? Is it
Yeah, they can never let their guard down. They'll never apologize to you. Like, victims always reach out to me and say, I want to go confront my abuser. And I'm just like, don't. You're going to get re-abused because they'll never give you the answer you want to hear. It's not worth your time. And so they keep that air about them. Dennis Pegg in that deli calls out to me like we're best friends. I'm a victim of his. Like, what are you doing? And Sandusky's getting out smirking as his trial's starting. Mm-hmm. And that just infuriated me.
Like we homies or something.
I spent the rest of the day out with a couple friends drinking, and me sneaking drugs. I got to go out and make a phone call. In my truck. I'll be right back. So, and I'd go out and do coke and pop a Xanax and.
Damn.
I stopped at an Italian restaurant on the way home that night. I was meeting a buddy at my house who I had lent money to, and he was going to power wash the cedar siding of my house and stain it as repayment. So I was meeting him at home, but I stopped at this Italian restaurant, and there was a guy in there who burned me on a business deal, a motorcycle deal. I took out a $33,000 loan to have him build me this custom motorcycle, and he took the money.
We got some Jerry lore real quick. Hold on. I know this is a long ass video, chat. But we streamed early today, so it's cool. Jerry Sandusky, former Penn State assistant football coach, was convicted in 2012 of sexually abusing 10 boys over the 15 years, often targeting vulnerable kids. What? He met through a charity. The second mile, he used gifts, trips, and access to Penn State Village to groom victims, committing crimes ranging from inappropriate touching to, he was sentenced to 30 to 60 years. I would have gave him the chair, but that's me though.
My money and a couple other people's money, and closed up shop in the middle of the night, then left town. And all of a sudden, here he was in this Italian restaurant. So I went up to him and had words with him. And he was with his family. So I said, out of respect for your family, I'm not going to take this any further, but, you got to pay me, And he just told me to get lost, So I get home and I tell my buddy about seeing that guy. And, we unloaded the equipment first and we're having a glass of wine at the kitchen table. And my buddy goes to me, that guy's got to be number one on your hit list. And it's been 33 years since I was, and I've never told anyone. And for whatever reason, I couldn't stop the words coming out of my mouth. I just said, actually, he's number 2 on my hit list. The piece of garbage who me as a young boy is number 1. And there it's out for the first time. The air was like heavy, like time stopped. The clock stopped on the wall. And we're just, like, you and I are sitting across from each other on a table and we're just staring at each other. And he's like, are you for real? Or are you messing with me?
So this is the first time in 30 years that you tell anyone?
Yeah. To be exact, 33 years. Yeah.
You tell Bob, it just happens. You don't even decide. It's not like...
Yeah, it just came out before I could even stop my mouth from speaking. I was just so tired and exhausted and beaten down from drugs, and seeing that other guy inflamed me at the Italian restaurant, and it just came flying out.
Who is the first to talk, you or Bob?
Bob's, as I recall, is the first to say, are you for real?
Damn, why Bob got a mugshot? What the fuck Bob do?
And I'm like, yeah, I'm for real. And then he's like, who is he? I'm like, he was my Boy Scout leader. And where did it happen? When did it happen? So I'm just saying, and he's like, where does he live? And I'm like, he lives 2 miles from here. And I think at that point I said to him, you know what, it's time to go confront this guy. Ever since seeing him with that boy in that quick check, I've just been haunted, and I'm like, it's time to go confront him. Now, Dennis Pegg, he had retired from the sheriff's department, but he was still the firearms instructor. Everybody in law enforcement has to get recertified with their handgun every year, and he was the firearms instructor for 2 counties, Sussex and Morris. So every cop, every sheriff's officer had to go to him to get recertified. So the guy was a complete gun nut. And I told Bob that, and I said, we ought to take something with us. Mm-hmm. I gave Bob a steak knife, and I went under my bed to where I kept that Boy Scout hunting knife he taught me how to sharpen, and I grabbed that. Now, Stephanie, basically this was a suicide mission. A steak knife, a hunting knife, against a guy who had 33 guns in his house.
Damn.
Shotguns, rifles, and over a dozen handguns. If you were doing what he was doing for 45 years, you would think he would have a gun at the ready under every table, on every armrest, on every couch cushion. You would think my time, I'm rolling the dice here 45 years in. I better be ready.
Right.
So it should have been a suicide mission when I went there.
What did Bob say when you made that suggestion?
Right, what did Bob say?
I just handed him the knife and I said, I'm going to go get my hunting knife. And that was pretty much it.
Man, Bob said, I don't need to talk. Let's get to it, man. There's nothing to discuss. We fuck with Bob. We all need a friend like Bob. Bob ain't even say nothing. He just said, come on, man. It's all Bob.
It wasn't, it wasn't like a long, drawn-out thing where we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's, and this is how this is going to happen, and that's how that's going to happen. It was just I'm like, let me just go confront this piece of garbage, and we'll take these with us.
And it's a 6-inch hunting knife, right?
Yeah.
Was that the biggest knife you had, or was it more so poetic justice because he was teaching you to sharpen that specific knife? Or you had like no thoughts, you're like, let me just grab a knife.
I would think it's subconscious poetic justice, you know, like take this with you,
Type
you
shit.
know.
100
So you have no plan, just a knife. You guys drive to Dennis's house. At what point are you like, maybe this is not a good plan?
No, just like I said, he had a long driveway. Yeah, it
He
had,
said no. This was plan A. Ain't no, I'm not. No, this is plan A. This is what we doing today.
a 90-degree turn in it. Bob pulled up there, and at the 90-degree turn, stopped, went up the driveway. His front door was open, and there he is sitting. Like he had a storm door. It's a summer night, so the storm door's shut. I mentioned earlier, you know, like the definition of a devil. Well, to me, it looked like the devil sitting in his lair. That's all I saw. But seeing him, this is the first time I'm back at that house in 33 years since what happened with me and the dog. I never went back to that house. And I instantly started going to that panic attack again. Just breathing got real hard, and I feel like rigor mortis in my muscles. And before I completely froze, I walked up to his door, that storm door, and ripped it open, broke the hinge. And I'm standing in his doorway. It's 9:30, 9:45 at night.
Talk about it.
And there's somebody you ripped in your doorway who just ripped open your door. And he casually looks over his shoulder at me and goes, "Hey."
Oh my God, the flying kick I would have gave him, in the back of his fat neck. The flying kick I would have gave him in the back of his fat neck, talking about some hay. Okay. Okay, fat ass.
"How are you?" And it just seemed like the most incredulous thing to say in that moment.
That's unhuman-like.
But again, they can never let their guard down. Like a normal person would like get on their hands and knees and start praying like, "Oh my God, I wronged you. I'm so sorry. I know why you're here. Please forgive me. I'm sick. I need help. Come in, let's talk." No.
Do you think if he did that, anything would be different?
No.
If someone's down on their hands and knees praying at you,
That's when you give them a flying knee to the nose.
begging for forgiveness, I would think so. Yeah.
So he just says, hey,
How are you?
what happens next?
We all have two faces. The face we show the world and the face behind closed doors. I've been showing the world that one face, and no one for 33 years has seen the face behind closed doors. Dennis is now going to see my other face. The face filled with rage. The face filled with hate. The face filled with anger. And I said, "Hey, how am I? Let me show you how the hell I am." And I raced across this room. He stood up, and a violent struggle started. I started slashing at him with the knife. He started punching me. A violent, bloody brawl ensued. At one point, he connected with he's still this monster hulking guy. And he connects with a square shot to my jaw. And as I'm falling down, I grab his shirt to keep from falling down. And I bring the knife down, and that's when I'm holding his shirt, and that's where it goes straight through and straight out and into his skin, just a little. We continue going at it, and I mean, we're talking minutes here. It's not like a long, drawn-out thing. You know, maybe 3-4 minutes.
Where the fuck is Bob? Why aren't we jumping him, Bob? Bob? Hello?
2 minutes, 3 minutes. It was quick. And he slips in the blood, and he falls down, and it's a mix of our blood. You know, like I'm gushing blood now. And he's up against the wall. I lean down in front of him. I got eye to eye with him. And I said,
Fuck getaway driver. Bob, get your ass in here so we can jump this fat bastard. What the hell? Let's make this easy quick. Now you got me in a fucking bar brawl with a fat predator.
it's not so fun raping little boys now, is it, Dennis? And I slit his throat.
Hold on. Replay that.
I leaned down in front of him. I got eye to eye with him. And I said, it's not so fun raping little boys now, is it, Dennis? And I slit his throat.
That's the last words he's heard.
And Bob was standing in the doorway, wide-eyed. And I said, go get the van and bring it up. Because I had one more thing I wanted to do. I walked over to the bedroom. He ripped me in, and I spit on the bed. The answer to everyone's question is, did this solve everything? No, it didn't solve everything.
How many
You
years did he
don't
get?
heal from trauma by adding more trauma. You don't heal from sexual abuse by murdering someone. It's not how you heal. I stopped the predator from ever harming another young boy. 45 years was long enough of raping young boys.
Oh, don't tell me then. Don't tell me.
It should never have came to that. It would be uncovered that multiple boys over the years had come forward and filed lawsuits against him, and he got out from every one of them.
Wow.
But I did what I did, and I knew walking out of his house that night that my life was over. You can't have the wound I have and just show up at a hospital and be like, I was cutting a steak and drove a 6-inch hunting knife through my hand and severed all the ligaments and tendons. I need help.
Did you think about doing that though?
I knew it wasn't an option. I just knew things were never going to be the same again.
So at no point during this altercation, and I know minutes are brief, but at no point he doesn't apologize.
No, there was just, the only words he said was, hey, how are you? And throughout the whole attack, he made like a high-pitched squeal. He never uttered a word like stop, let's talk, don't do this, nothing. There was no words, just
That's unhuman-like. Dennis wasn't a real person.
a high-pitched squeal.
Dennis wasn't
Like a
real.
wounded animal almost. Not one other word other than that initial thing when I was standing in his doorway.
Did you feel like you're in control of your movements at that time, or did you feel like you're watching from the outside in, or you're just like on autopilot? What is that?
Right? He a fucking pig. Fuck is he squealing for?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't in control
like
of
one.
my movements or anything.
Sound like one. I call it a pig.
It was like something had taken over my body, and man, would I be honest if I said I had a out of body experience during that? No, I wouldn't be honest. But it was like that. It was like looking at this reel going on, and just like that's how when I look back at it, like I can't believe what happened. I can't believe that I got to that point of brokenness to go do that and potentially flush my whole life away just from never healing from trauma. It's keeping the secret and not addressing it and not trying to grow from it or heal from it or learn from it.
I feel like he
or
got
do
some type of
anything
satisfaction from that, though.
other than let it just poison my system for decades.
Right.
And that's what it did. And that's the part that I look back on now, and I just like, man, I probably would have died of a drug overdose, and everybody would have been like, oh my God, Clark Clark had a great education and he was so popular. And what did he go die of a drug overdose from? I mean, that's where my life was headed.
Damn.
Are you saying that even when you killed Dennis, you didn't even feel a moment of relief?
Right?
No, there was no relief because of the wound I had, because of how gory and horrific killing someone was. Again, I don't view Dennis as having humanity, but it hurts your soul to kill somebody. It's not therapeutic in any
I don't even want to speak on that. Never mind. Let me not say that on the internet.
way. It's not healing. Like, it damages your psyche. It damages your soul. It hurts. And I had to be completely broken to go do that.
Do you have nightmares about it, or
No.
you never think about it?
No, I don't.
said, "No, I'm
I don't
sleeping
give
well."
him. Again, if I killed an innocent person,
He got some satisfaction from that. I know it's a bad thing, but he had to just a tiny bit.
that would haunt me. If I killed a human, that would haunt me. I don't view Dennis as an innocent person or a human.
Why did you walk to the bedroom?
That was to go spit on the bed he raped me in.
At what point were you like, I'm gonna spit on this bed?
That's such a vulgar word.
Was it just
oh my
like-
god, that's a crazy word.
I don't know what came over me. Like, again, it's not like Bob and I sat at the kitchen table, like across from each other like you and I are. And I said, yeah, after I do this, and this, then in my bloody footprints, I'm going to walk to the bed. He spit me on, or me on and spit on the bed, So, like, I don't know what possessed me to go do that. It's something to just bring things full circle and to a closure. I needed to do that.
Did it bring closure?
I thought it brought complete closure, like, to my life and his. Like, there was 2 deaths that day. The life I had been living up to that point, I could never go back to living the way I was.
Okay.
And I literally thought, I forfeit the rest of my life. I'll either kill myself or spend the rest of my life in prison. I forfeited any healthy, happy life to just put an end to his reign of terror.
He's a
That's
hero.
what I thought.
It's interesting because, like, when I'm reading your memoir,
Oh, that's what makes me mad about the world. Cause, like, just in retrospect, right? Say if you do like exile somebody from Earth, right? But they've been doing the worst things possible that you know of. Like, you shouldn't really go to jail for that because you're damn near a hero.
going
I don't
through
know.
that
Maybe it's
moment,
weird how I think.
because I mean, the way that it's written, I feel like I'm there. I'm obviously not experiencing like the depth of emotions, but it feels I'm there with you. It almost feels therapeutic when you spit on his bed. And it's like kind of interesting because I know you don't advocate for people to do and follow in those steps, but I guess it was relief for the
Right, that was like
reader.
some movie
There's
shit.
some sort of poetic justice in doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if everybody, and it's a lot of everybody's, if they could spit on the bed they were raped in, they would want to do it.
Yeah. You have a hole in your hand.
That's crazy.
You drive home and you say you need to tell your mom. What is the thinking behind that? You're telling your mom because you don't know what's going to happen next, or?
Yeah, my mom had just come up from Florida. Welcome home, Mom. Oh, man. And I called my best friend at the time and the girl I was dating and asked them to come over because I just, my life's over, Steph. Am I going to kill myself after this? Or am I going to spend life in prison? It's one of those 2 things. So let me say goodbye to my buddy. Let me say goodbye to my girlfriend. And let me get my mother up and say goodbye to her. Because this isn't going to turn out good.
And your mom she's 80. How old was she at the time? Do you recall?
81 maybe.
And so your plan is, I'm going to wake my mom up,
W.
tell her goodbye. But your mom's plan is, I'm gonna clean up the blood and we're gonna run.
Shout out to mothers. You know what I'm saying? If you talk to your mother, go get your mama a kiss on the cheek and hug her right now. Cause that's who gonna always hold you down. When you're back against the wall, you know what I'm saying? My Dukes is gonna take care of you. Shout out to my Dukes, man.
I'm gonna clean up the blood and we're gonna run.
That's fire.
We're gonna get away with murder together.
Yep. Mom's like, we're getting away with murder. You know?
I almost cried.
Oh, man. I guess it's good to laugh about it now, right?
So she wakes up and you tell her what happened. You still don't tell her.
The thing is, I couldn't even tell her then that I was by Dennis. I still couldn't. I couldn't bring it out. And she was like dumbfounded. What? Why would you go do this? Why? And I said, to avenge a lot of other kids in this town. And she goes, still, why you? Why are you the avenger? Why? I don't get it. Why? And I couldn't tell her, like, for what, you know, for raping me too, Mom. I still couldn't say it, even though I told it to my buddy earlier. She helped me upstairs. I wrapped my hand in duct tape, which fixes everything. So I wrapped it with paper towel and duct tape, and took a couple Xanax, and went to bed. And my mother went downstairs and started scrubbing the floors all night long to get the blood up.
And so she's like, we're going on the run, but you wake up and the cops are surrounding.
Yeah. She told my sister that she was going to take me and we were going to go on the run.
I know, it says in the book you guys are thinking the end of the world, which is Florida.
Right.
You guys are going to go to Florida. No, I like the plan. I think your mom is really adorable. I mean, I was just so fascinated by your mother because, you know, she's cleaning up the blood. She's ready to go Bonnie and Clyde with you. And then the cops come the next morning. They've got on the loudspeakers. They're saying, Clark, come out. And she's like, no, the neighbors are going to hear. Your mom is so fascinating.
She said to one of the troopers as I was still in my bedroom, what are the neighbors going to think? He's like, ma'am, I really don't give a damn what the neighbors think.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you see the cops outside.
So they took her out. Like,
okay.
They took her out of the house.
And they're like, you look out the window and they're just like trying to be sneaky.
This is some real life movie shit.
Yeah, they're like I said, they're hiding behind trees. You know, they don't know
what's inside.
What I have, if I'm loaded up with a AR-15 or what my mental state is. You know, they've got a dead body.
Yeah.
So every one of them has their gun drawn. Everyone's taking, you know, some sort of protection. There's this big rock to the left of the yard, and there's trees, and there's the shed out back, and they're just all behind everything, and then they're behind their cars lining the street, and I just couldn't believe it. I was lying in bed like, how are we gonna get out of this? Like, how are we gonna get out of this?
Ain't no getting out of that, dog.
And like, there's gotta be a way out of this. And before I could even possibly think of any way out of this, the cops are there, and I'm just, and your stomach just drops, and you're just like, it's over, bro. It's over. And all I could think, you know, they ordered me out of the house over a bullhorn, and as I walked to that front door, I just called out to God, let one of these guys kill me when I step out. Like it's over, God.
That's how bad jail is.
Like, I don't want to do life in prison. Just take me now.
That's crazy.
And let him shoot me when I walk out. And I stepped out that front door.
No. Like, I don't think you know how crazy it is. People would rather die than go to jail. I don't know why that just it's justified because jail's supposed to be bad, but like, you rather like not be on earth. I don't know. I don't know why I thought about that.
My state police shirt on that I put on, and I put my arms out to the side, and I just sort of tilted my head back, and I just waited for the crack of a gun, and it never came. And instead, I was ordered off my porch down to her front lawn, spread eagle, handcuffed, and taken away.
Shit.
Were you disappointed when you didn't hear a shot go off?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because in that
answer.
that ride to the police barracks was like the longest ride of my life, and I'm just like, man, one of these guys couldn't kill me, put me out of my misery. Like,
Justice for
I'll have
Clark.
to find a way in prison.
Well, he
to
already
do
got
it.
justice, but
I'll
like,
have to,
he's just mental.
I'll have to take care of this myself.
His mental is
You
just...
killed a cop. You're arrested by a bunch of cops. You're about to go to the jail that cop worked at. Things are not looking good. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Understatement of the year.
Yeah.
But there are some cops, some detectives who seem to... They give you some sage advice in that weird moment. What happens there? Like, what was the energy? Like, are all the arresting officers, do you feel like hatred dripping off of them because you killed a cop? Or do you not even notice what their energy is? What is that dynamic?
Well, I'm thinking like I'm public enemy number one amongst law enforcement. I just killed one of their own. And yet at the state police barracks, this lieutenant, Howie Ryan, comes in and goes, I have to apologize to you. And I'm like, what are you apologizing to me for? And he's like, I've heard rumors about Dennis Pegg for a long time. And he goes, I want to apologize to you for never stopping him. He goes, I can't arrest somebody on rumors. I need victims. I need cold, hard facts. And I had neither of those. And I apologize to you. And then he left the room. And at first, Steph, I felt, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I'm like, just started fuming. I'm like, even the state police knew. Everybody knew about Dennis Pegg and young boys.
That's crazy.
Everybody's got a story. The state police just admitted they knew. And yet I'm the one who just had to flush his life away and look at life in prison to stop him. Like, and they knew. So I went from feeling good for a second, getting really pissed off for another second.
And they didn't
I'm like,
know.
what's the matter anyway? I'm done. I'm done. When that cop, Howie Ryan, came back in the room, he could see that I had like mailed it in. He said, I could tell you were done. And he goes, something moved in me that even though you thought you were done, I didn't think you were done. And he said, look, I've got your DNA all over that crime scene. He was in charge of the CSI team that worked Pegg's house. He's like, your blood's everywhere. He goes, this isn't a whodunit. He goes, but that doesn't necessarily mean your life's over. My detectives and detectives from the prosecutor's office are in another room waiting to interrogate you.
Okay.
He goes, if you go in that room and open up your mouth, you could potentially destroy the rest of your life. He goes, I'm telling you right now, go in there, exercise your Fifth Amendment right, request a lawyer, and keep your mouth shut. Stay quiet.
Yeah.
And I said to him, but I don't have a lawyer. And he goes, I'm going to take care of that for you.
Oh, that's
He goes,
real.
I'm going to get you a lawyer.
That's real.
And he left the room, and on his cell phone, he called one of the big lawyers in our county and said, I need you to fax over to the state police barracks a retainer for somebody, like, immediately.
That's real. He called the best man possible for the job. I love that.
And the lawyer said, who is he and what did he do? And he goes, Clark Frederick's murder. And he goes, okay then. And had a thing over in a couple minutes.
So he tells you not to talk. Do you listen to him?
W man.
I do.
Right when you get arrested, it seems like the whole time.
Damn, what the fuck happened to Ron Mango? Like, she just...
is divided. A lot of people feel like you did this for
looks
very
stressed out
nefarious
right here.
reasons. Other people start hearing what Dennis has been doing around town. Do you feel like at any point were there just dividing opinions? Did it feel like everybody had their own thought about what the motive was?
I love how
Yeah,
how
there were
organized
some
she is, too,
vocal
though.
people on his side who were pro Dennis, who just like referred to me as
Pro
a drunk
Dennis.
drug addict who just killed a great man. You know, like yeah, I just woke up one day and said, Dennis Pegg, I'm going to go kill you for no reason. Before it like really started coming out about what happened, you know, because yeah, there were the little old ladies on the historical society that worked with him were like, he was such a sweet man. You know, the mayor in Stowell at the time
shut
was
your
like,
old
oh,
ass
he was a giant of a human being, you know, and then people like Howie Ryan are like, no, I knew all about rumors about this guy. Your audience is going to have to get the book because there's a line from Howie Ryan in the book to the prosecutor. It's one of the greatest lines you will ever hear. I don't want to give it away. It's such a,
Man, now he trying to sell
it's
his
the
book.
most powerful line you will ever read, said by him.
We will put the
I damn near might buy it.
page number so you guys can go get it.
I'm not buying that book.
And I will tell you what page, because I know
You know exactly what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what line
That was
you're
a powerful
talking about.
line,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Like, it's
that was
Somebody tell me the line,
unbelievable
though.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, once you've been arrested, you're facing first-degree murder charge initially. So you're facing life in prison.
Life in prison.
Oh shit.
And you have an attorney, and they're saying, have a little hope, but not too much hope.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny that the lawyer Howie Ryan at the barracks called George Daggett, who sent the retainer over. I never even interviewed him at the jail.
George, what?
Howie Ryan at the barracks called George Daggett, who sent the retainer over. I never even interviewed him at the jail as one of my lawyers. I don't know why, but I interviewed a bunch of other lawyers, and you know, one lawyer just wanted to get me bailed out. We'll get you bailed out of here in 3 days. Like, and I'm like, all right, and then
What? What type of lawyer is that? He got the best Jewish man ever.
this other lawyer came in all flashy with his, you know, gold jewelry, Rolex watch, and he's
Hell no. Immediately tell him to turn his ass right back around. He came in dressed like what?
like, and I'm like, all right. And then this other lawyer came in all flashy with his, you know, gold jewelry,
Hell
Rolex watch, and he's listing all these cases he's worked. And I knew the cases, and he lost them all. But in my head, I'm like, but you lost all those, you know? Like, so I'm like, and then this guy Dan Perez came in. He just looked like a really good guy, you know?
Timeout Vicky. Corey, Vicky, timeout Vicky. Immediately. 600. Put 600 on his noggin. Don't, yeah.
Like really down to earth. And he came in and he said, I think we can have a valid defense for this. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, you know, it's not going to be easy, but I don't think your life is over. I was like, really? I'm like, you're hired.
You hired him?
During that time, Dennis had a security deposit box that the police go through,
Yeah,
and they find a bunch of letters
right.
that he wrote 10 years before he died.
Correct. And when he was in his young to mid 50s, healthy.
They all have some variation of pray for me. I hope I didn't disappoint you. Forgive me for any failings. Do you think some of these letters are to victims?
Yeah. And like, they're creepy.
They are.
There's something really creepy about them. Like,
weird.
And the prosecutor told me after the fact that he thinks there was 14 of them in there, that 13 were probably victims. Would you ever think, like right now, to like write letters to people in case you die.
No.
He was 50 something years old. Like, like, what would make you do that?
And he does keep writing, interestingly, like, if I go to heaven, pray for me. But if you're already dead, I don't know what exactly he's asking for in prayer.
Yeah.
Is it to get to heaven? It's weird. They're
Yeah.
very
It
strange.
was, I read those and it just like left me feeling yucky. Like,
Yeah.
He thought he was going where?
and then if you assume that they're to victims, like, I tried my best. I thought we were family. Forgive me for shortcomings. What are your shortcomings?
How many victims do you think that he had?
My buddy's wife is the sheriff's secretary, and she sat in on every meeting with the sheriff in the early days, and they estimate well over 100.
One of the other victims is very close to you. Family relation. Who was that?
My brother.
What happened to your brother?
My arrest opened up my brother's Pandora's box. You know, like seeing that boy in that deli open my box up. My arrest opened my brother's box up, and my brother wasn't ready to face it. He wasn't ready to handle it, didn't want to deal with it. You know, like I told myself at 12, we're just going to bury this and go about our life. Well, that's what my brother had done his whole life. And everyone urged him to get
Oh my God, and probably the neighbor too. You remember when he was saying he used to wrestle them? No.
help, to see a therapist. And my brother did what I did, was to numb himself. And I found him dead on our kitchen floor a couple of years ago from drinking himself to death.
No.
This is going to be a 2-part interview. This is part 1. In part 2, we're going to ask Clark about how and why the FBI came to him to warn him that someone put a hit out on his life. He has, there's his entire journey, or I guess more so fight in prison, trying to get through it while he's surrounded by criminals who are accused of doing the very thing that Dennis Pegg did, which is harm children. There are letters that Dennis Pegg left his presumed victims in his safety deposit box, and how someone very close to Clark is killed by Dennis Pegg after Clark gets out of prison. Like, how does that even happen? We're going to go through all of that in part 2. Also, how the hell does Clark get out of prison when he's facing a first-degree murder charge and life in prison? That will all be asked in part 2. But in the meantime, if you feel like you can't wait for those answers, which, same, you can get Clark's memoir. It's probably the most
She talking about same, like,
intense
this ain't
memoir
your
that
video,
I've
lady.
ever read. And I've read a copious amounts of memoirs before. There are just so many aspects of his story that aren't included in our episodes that you can find in depth in his book. I think I finished the whole book the first time around in like 4 hours. It was one of my quickest reads. There's something about it where
Chad, we gonna buy this book and we gonna read it together. We gonna have like story times. And just me reading the book. Like how y'all teacher be reading the book in front of the class and everybody just be watching her reading shit. We gonna do that. We gonna buy this book.
don't know how Clark does this, but every time you catch yourself feeling like, okay, there's a black hole that we've now went into, there's no way out of it, you get out and then there's just like another black hole. And it is like the most intense emotional journey that I have ever been on. You can also find Clark on his social media accounts and his own podcast, which I will link below. But with that being said,
100.
that is part 1 of the 2-part series of the story of Clark Fredericks. And I will see you in part 2.
Stay safe on the hood. That was Ryan Mango. I sat down with a killer. This was fucking crazy. Second channel, come and catch it live. This shit was insane. Mind blowing. Dennis K. Shout out Bob, kinda. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Clark. This was dope. Just to like hear his experience of just like what he learned like oh, the predator mind is like this way, and what he learned from this, even though it's traumatizing, it's like, damn, what a crazy life he had lived. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But 7K is on the way. Make sure you leave a like, comment more videos you want to see. Part 2 coming out soon. I don't know when we gonna watch part 2, but be here when we do. We gone.